So we need to find a way for him to not be wet because it is not good for him.
Do you want me to grab a towel to put underneath?
No. So this little guy, oh, you can't see him. Are you able to tip it so they can see him, honey? Do you know how to do that with the big knob? That's good. Thank you. All right. So here he is, and he has quite a bit of wool on him that needs to be just cut off because it's matted. It's really easy for these guys to get matted. Some of this on the back is not matted, but a lot of the furnishings on the front here can get very matted, and then on his belly and on his legs, and it can be quite an ordeal to get him cleaned up. And it means that you have wool everywhere. So I'm not sure what to do about that, but if you're looking for a way to grow your own wool and to have your own manure, Angora rabbits are a great place to start, and he really does have quite a few mats. So brushing can work, but you can see I've already got a lot of wool on my nose, on my face. And if you're allergic to animals, if you're allergic to rabbits, this is a really great way to have an asthma attack. He is quite wet. Okay, we need to find a solution for him. Maybe switch the water bottles. Which water bottle did he have? The blue one or the yellow one?
The yellow one.
Okay, switch them.
We don't have the spring for the other one because it's out at the horses.
Well, we can still tie it up just fine.
Okay, I'll talk how to do that.
So, with how fine their wool is, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to brush it or if we're just going to have to clip it. And if it is matted, it's not usable. You can't use matted Angora wool. It's just too fine. So, I may have to just take this part here and use it for spinning because it's pretty clean. The other thing is you don't want Angora rabbits in any kind of environment that has bedding in it. You don't want to use bedding for Angoras because their bedding will get into their wool. You can use something like big pieces of cardboard, but you don't want to use straw. You don't want to use hay. So this is a perfectly good solution if you're looking for something to kickstart your compost pile and your spinning dreams. You don't have to have a huge space, but you do have to have a little bit of patience in figuring out how to make your system work and to make sure they're happy. He is a really nice, calm boy, and I'm really happy with him. I would really like to get some of this stuff off him. They can't get wet. It mats their fiber. Regular rabbits also don't like to get wet. He is a good weight. He's much lighter than most of the Angoras that I have dealt with. He has just as much fiber, but he's a lot lighter. He hasn't been overfed. And we're going to be doing a live show on Facebook this Saturday, I believe, talking about the ideal breeding weight for your rabbits, that they need to not be too fat or else they can't breed. And he is just about perfect, but he is a lot lighter than most of the Angoras that I've had before because I do have a tendency to overfeed. I get concerned about them in the cold in the winter. He has been an indoor rabbit, and he has lived in the house and played with dogs and played with other rabbits, and so they didn't really need to worry about him being too cold. But in Idaho, I do worry about that a lot. So my rabbits are always too fat. So we're going to talk to Nick Klein over at the Hostel Hare. He sells rabbit cages, and this guy will need a big conventional rabbit cage. He can't have a wooden rabbit cage because he has so much fiber on his feet that it will soak up urine, and you need to not have him being exposed to urine because it'll burn his feet just because he has so much wool on his feet, unlike a normal rabbit. So we're going to show you those conventional cages. The way that Nick builds them is much sturdier than what you can generally find materials for yourself. And so I'm kind of excited about that. I'm excited to talk to Nick because he grows all of his meat from rabbits, and he has done it in a very small situation, and he has sold the rabbits for meat as well. But this guy will not be meat. They are big giants of a rabbit. They have big bones, they grow slow, and they're not to be used for meat. And isn't he just pretty? The other thing that I love about Angora rabbits is that they're so stinking calm. A lot of rabbits, it would be very difficult to groom them the way that you have to groom an Angora. but I've never had an Angora that was unhappy with being groomed. They were happy to just sit and be taken care of. But you can see that I've already got like fiber all over me, and there's fiber in the air everywhere, and that's just what it's like to have Angoras, is that you have this beautiful, lovely, downy fiber everywhere. So I'm gonna let him down and let him play for a minute and see if he wants to get some exercise. Come on, buddy. Yep. And we'll see if he wants to run around a little bit. Good thing we have a clean floor. Where you going, buddy? It sounds like we also need to clip his toenails a little bit. And I am quite wet. When he spills his water, all that wool just absorbs it. Where are you going? You off for an adventure? So we are in a rental. I am not going to let him just be down like this without supervision. I do not want him chewing on anything. I don't want him piddling on anything, but I will allow him to be up and about like this without damaging the property. Can you smell that grapefruit? I kind of think I'm gonna wait. He hasn't been here for very long, so I don't want to scare him or stress him out, but he does have quite a bit of fiber on the bottom that I need to trim out so that he is not getting sore. Where are you going? Okay, don't hold him too tight. Just keep him on your lap.
Oh. He's a little bit of a frisker. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. I think he's getting a little scared.
Probably. Our problem is he has these scissors are probably not going to be sharp enough.
I can get you some others that I know where some red ones are. You're okay. How old is he?
I don't know. I want to see if we can get a pretty good shot this time of how we do this. I think last time maybe I didn't have the
Last time it was with the neck yellow, right?
yeah, I got to have you scoot over because it's focused on you. Kaya, go back to work. All right. All right, buddy. Let's just... The thing you have to be careful of is you do not want to clip them. If you get their skin, you are going to have a frightened rabbit for the rest of eternity when it's time to do clipping. So you have got to use your fingers to protect their skin. Do you have...
He's yawning.
Do you have any... Do you have your old scissors, your old green scissors that were really good?
I can go up and look in my sewing box and see if I can find them.
Yeah, because it's kind of a big deal that they be sharp and pointy.
Yeah, I can go up and look.
Their skin is very, very thin, and if you don't feel and make sure that what you're cutting is actually wool and not skin, it's very easy to accidentally clip them.
He's just sitting there and looks kind of like an old man.
And you really don't want to get second cuts. Second cuts, you cannot spin with second cuts. Second cuts would be anything that is, you cut it to be long, and then when you came back to cut it again, you cut that short little piece that was remaining off so that you have this little piece of fluff remaining. And if you get that, it can't be spun. It just makes a mess in your yarn. So I will try really hard once I get a little bit more off of him to show you guys what I mean by all this, because right now his ears are in the way for sure. It's good down here today because it is not hot. It's cool in the house. And you never want to take a big square chunk. You also always want to take like a little papery thin chunk like that. You never want it to be big and fat because their skin could be in there somewhere.
Are you going to do his ears?
No, I think we'll brush his ears.
Okay.
Those are furnishings that kind of look funny if you try to clip them. All right, so you can see I'm sectioning it out so it's just a very small amount of fiber. That there. And I'm going to watch for pink because pink means skin. And it is very common for household Angoras instead of like professional Angora farms. It's very common to have everything matted on their legs because professional Angora owners will blow them out and groom them frequently, whereas pet Angora owners have a tendency to not spend as much time with them. So
That kind of mean we'll probably spend a lot of time with him.
well, I hope so. It's so much easier to keep them in a house rather than keeping them out at the barn because this is somewhat tedious work. And unless you have them in the house, it's really hard to spend the time with them to get it all off.
Yeah.
But it's generally going to be too warm in the house for your Angoras unless you put them in a purposefully cooled off place. All right, so you want to do it in long rows like this. You just kind of want to part the hair like this. And what a lot of people are allergic to is not actually the fiber, it's the dander and the spit from the rabbit as they clean themselves. And so you can't really get away from that. You have to lay it out and you have to take the time to cut it right. And I've never used clippers on them. I've never done that. I believe that this is fine enough that it would gum up. Most clippers.
Do you want me to bring over the brush for you in case he needs to have his...
No, because if it needs to be brushed, we have to just cut it off. It's just, if it's not straight and nice, it just has to be cut off and thrown in the garbage, or in the compost, I guess. I'm afraid to move her. You don't really want to upset a mama anything just before she's about to have babies. It's not good for her. You have a mustache, Mama.